that we're choosing to feel this way, with the teaching. Most people don't have that. So it's really, it's just wonderful that we actually can decide, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And we're choosing this to do, which is a beneficial thing to do. So that's great. But even just having leisure time, that's the effect of having a precious human rebirth, that's one of its marks of a precious human rebirth, is having leisure. So, because not all humans have that. So we can start a class with just being kind of rejoicing that we have that. And we had the merit to have that. And it's, and it's a good thing. And then we're choosing to use that time in a way that, makes our life more meaningful. So that's good news too. And then we just generate a positive motivation, a positive intention for using our time well, and combining it with the wish that it will not just benefit ourselves, but that it's going to ripple out to benefit others. The Refuge and Bodhicitta prayer. It's on page 98. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit sentient beings. For measurables. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. All sentient beings free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Sentient beings happiness that is free from suffering. Whoops, turn the page. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. And the 7-limb prayer. Just pause for a minute after each line so that you can visualize or, try to implement what's being said. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. So you can actually picture yourself doing long prostrations, and that has merit. But mostly you want to generate that mind of respect for the teachings. I present clouds of every type of offering, actual and imagined. I declare all my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time. And rejoice in the merit of all holy and ordinary beings. Really rejoice that countless positive actions have occurred today by both holy and ordinary beings and yourself. Countless have been offered in the past, and we can be 100% certain that they will happen tomorrow. How wonderful that is, the manifestation of our Buddha potential. Please remain until the end of cyclic existence and turn the wheel of Dharma for living beings. We dedicate our own merits and those of all others to the great enlightenment. And include in our dedications, that we, like at the end, if we remember it, to ripen for those who've asked us to pray for them, our friends, our community, and with the center, all those things, anybody who's ill or suffering or whatever, you just kind of keep that in your mind too. And for the success of the center, FBMT, always good. How is everybody today? Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay. So any questions? Anything been bubbling around your mind about karma or rebirth or the afflictions and it's really, all that kind of stuff in general? It's okay if you don't think of it at all. Any thoughts, explanations, arguments, debates? All right.
When somebody dies, then they have 40 days,
49.
49, okay, to pick a parent, right?
That's a maximum, yep.
One way of putting it. And could they do it in less than 49 days?
Yeah, usually they
can
do.
It in 5 days.
They can do it in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's just the maximum is 49 days. So after every 7 days, which often you'll see that people will do practices on the 7th day every week for 7 weeks, is that you kind of go through a sort of like small death in the bardo and arise in a new bardo body for the next week.
So 3 days, how does that relate to 49 days? Isn't there a 3 days?
Leaving someone, okay.
That's leaving this body in 3 days.
Well, that's something else. You're not dead until the consciousness leaves the body. Right. According to our tradition, that doesn't happen necessarily right away. What we call brain dead in the hospitals, we would say you're not dead yet. That the consciousness is still there, even though there's no brain activity, because the brain does not equal the mind. So experienced meditators often can take a few days before they'll leave the body. Some, great meditators can take weeks. So the 49 days starts when your consciousness leaves the body, not when the doctors say you're dead. So it's recommended that most places in the US, you can't wait 3 days. It's not allowed by law for the funeral homes or whatever. I mean, it's a health and safety issue. So what's recommended is that you find out how long you can wait. And then before anybody, takes the body, that you touch them on the tops of their head. They have hair, you pull the hair. They don't, you firmly, because that's where their consciousness, so you're encouraging the conscious to leave the body through the head, which is supposed to be a good idea. So
what does that do? Wake up?
No, it kind of moves the mind. The mind, when it's in clear light, which is like a meditation on emptiness, you could say. So when the mind moves, it gets distracted, and so then it will go to the next life, and that's how they describe the dissolutions, is that then the mind moves, and then you start to, everything, you go in the reverse. your subtle conscious gets more and more gross, you know, that kind of thing. But if the body started to deteriorate, you know, it's the consciousness definitely left. That's one of the signs. So great yogis, their bodies don't deteriorate at all for weeks, you know. Well, that's true of anybody though.
Meditators.
But I mean, that's true for everybody. So that's not a sign. It's mostly that your body doesn't smell.
Oh.
Because our hair grows in the coffin. You know,
No,
so, and our head shrinks. So then it looks like it's longer. I'm not making that up. That's true. So anyway, but for most of us ordinary folks, you know, and our pets and, you know, all that kind of stuff, you know, it's probably not a worry, you know. It's possible that they're bodhisattvas and are meditation. So it's, you know, you do the best you can, but there's no need to freak out. Yeah.
You know, remember that awful time I went through when my cat was dying? Well, her body didn't decompose. I mean, she was in the same position for 4 days.
Yep.
So what does that mean?
It just, I mean, it's possible our consciousness didn't leave the body until then.
Yeah, but that's unusual for a cat.
I would hardly say I'm an expert, but I don't know if it's unusual for pets at first. Number one, you know, I know human bodies, you know, start to decay. When they start to decay, it's very distinctive smell. I don't know about small little bodies, you know.
Okay.
I just don't know. But I do know people are like that. But but we don't know what until we're bodhisattvas, we can't tell who's a bodhisattva around us. When we're bodhisattvas, we can tell. So, you know, we just do the best we can. You know, they had to move Lama Yeshe, you know, so and Rinpoche just, you know, made arrangements to move him in a spot and didn't move him again until a certain number of days had gone by. So, you know, I mean, it's just is. We do the best we can. But
I missed something. Why did they move him in the first place?
because the hospital insisted. You know, we can't just, you know, in India, if you die and the monastery in India, they wait until it appears that you know, until somebody there who's an expert in these matters says, yes, the consciousness has left the body. And then they do a cremation right in your front yard. I mean, it's, you know, it's a very whole different system. So, but we can't do that. I mean, there are good reasons we can't do it. It's not stupid. It's just, you know, different. So it's really kind of interesting when they say, oh yeah, if you see smoke, it's probably someone.
Huh.
Oh, there you go. Because someone died, but I happen to be there. Yeah. I mean, it's much more respectful than that, but it's still, that's what they do. So, one of the nuns from the center in Raleigh died in India and was cremated at one of the Indian, you know, and all the, you know, a lot of monks came and did prayers for her. And
Actually, here they do have a body farm that if you donate your body.
I really don't need to know, but they probably still want it fairly quickly. The moving of the body is what can disturb the mind to cause it to leave. If you're a yogi, it probably maybe doesn't, because you have a lot more control over your mind. So the body moving may not affect it. But for most of us,
Did you say body?
farm, yeah, they're just studying the effects of decay.
They just leave you out there. But I guess, okay, but you're saying that's not
Well, I
not
mean,
necessarily beneficial. Okay.
it doesn't mean anything because it's a body moving. Once you touch the body, it's said that the consciousness is likely to have left the body, you know, if they haven't before. So anyway. I can't remember what your question was.
Mine?
7 days, 49 days.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
they
that's the
always
deal.
have to come back as an infant. They have to be reborn.
Only if they come back human.
Yeah, right.
What if they come back as an animal? Though?
Then they get born in the womb of an animal.
Yeah, okay, so.
Yeah. You take the form in the bardo of a juvenile form of whatever you're going to be reborn as. If you're born in the hell realms, that's a spontaneous rebirth. So you go straight, you don't collect $200 pass go, you go straight to the hell realms. If you, and there are other realms like that. The form and formless realms are like that, I think.
Like the whole- right. Those,
Yep.
young people, just your own.
You're just, yeah, that's, I think. Yeah, I think those are spontaneous. Animal realm is not,
Right.
but I know the hell realms are spontaneous. I think the God realms are spontaneous, and the formless realm is spontaneous. Because when you start talking about things like the form and formless realms, you're talking about a different level of mind. So, and that's, we have to remember sometimes that when we talk about the desire realm, the main thing they're talking about there is the mind. It's a mind caught in desire, So. So we've talked a lot about, so we know about karma that, according to the teachings, pretty much everything that we, see, everything we experience, is the result of our past actions. So getting, what they say, the cause of samsara is karma and the afflictions. They're meaning our actions and our states of mind. Since all of our states of mind as an ordinary being are influenced by ignorance, by self-grasping, they're all afflicted. So even our good qualities are mixed with ignorance, so there's still a cause for samsara. They still keep us stuck in samsara.
So as long as you have that thread that you're clinging to of an independent self.
It's called ignorance.
That's ignorance, that causes the afflictions. And
Ignorance,
leads to karmic results because you're ignorant.
Yeah, it's the
And
ignorance.
grasping.
It's in particular the grasping of a self. So even our good qualities, our good actions of generosity or love or compassion are still mixed with ignorance. So that still, it can cause positive results in samsara, but it doesn't get you out of samsara. So what gets us out of samsara?
Realization of this.
Okay, so we definitely need that. We need to remove our ignorance completely, because then our actions no longer have self-grasping in them. So they do not place karmic seeds on our mind stream. Karmic seeds are an effect of ignorance mixed with our actions. So this is why it's important to understand karma, so we understand cause and effect, so we understand that certain actions have heavier, more negative consequences to us. So we definitely want to spend our time developing our, abandoning our unskillful habits and developing our skillful habits. And by the way, start working on emptiness.
Why is stealing considered heavier than sexual misconduct?
I'm not sure it really is. It's the order, in the order of things. I know that they say that. I'm sure it depends. I'm sure some actions of sexual misconduct are worse than stealing, like rape is probably worse than stealing.
A lot of sexual misconduct is stealing.
Yeah, of course. They're all a form of stealing. Basically all the non-virtues are a form of not protecting someone else's rights, you could almost say. Yeah, it's because we're in the desire realm. It's because we're attached. We're attached to what we want. And so then we either do acts of harm to, take what we want or get rid of our competition or whatever. So,
What's the antidote for harsh speech?
what do you think?
I try not to do harsh speech. I don't know. Just trying not to do it, but
Shutting up, yeah, is a good start. Then you have to work on kindness, love, and compassion so that you're not motivated by something that is going to result in harsh speech. So it's usually anger that finally results in harsh speech. So you have to work on patience, love, compassion, kindness, so that the anger that's arising, that's motivating you to use hard speech isn't there. I mean, it doesn't have to be full-blown anger. It can be irritation. Basically, it's, I'm not getting what I want, and I'm going to let it be known. We do it with our speech, or we stomp out of the room, or we roll our eyes, or we have all sorts of methods. We're really quite good at it.
I like to show my irritation.
Oh, we should, yes. Misery loves company. So those things we really have to, recognize. So this is why it is important to meditate on things like compassion, kindness, love, to really, and so how do you really meditate on compassion? Well, you really look at true suffering. We need to develop this deep understanding that samsara is the nature of suffering. And so that ourselves and everybody we're interacting with is stuck in this swamp of suffering. And so what's the response to that? Compassion, not, haven't you grown up yet? Kind of attitude. We really need to develop this understanding that there's nothing in cyclic existence that benefits us. Nothing. Nothing. Zippo. It's never going to turn out well.
Well, the first step is renunciation, not wanting to leave
Samsara. So one of the main things, so you think about true suffering so that you can develop this mind that turns to love and compassion, when you're dealing with someone else. And then dealing with yourself, it's also a good mind to have, and being able to sit with our suffering so that we don't act out from it, just sit. Oh yeah, this is a drag. And guess what? There are millions out there that are feeling exactly this way right at this moment, and how sad is that? You just keep having to let yourself really feel that so that we can develop disenchantment with samsara. We're in the desire realm. We think lots of samsara is great. We need to realize for what it really is a false lure, of seduction, when all it does is increase our craving again and again and again. We constantly self-medicating with sensory things we like, whether it's entertainment, whether it's food, whether it's chatting with a friend, whether it's, we're constantly just covering up the state of things. So that's why it's so important, to catch ourselves with stuff, that mind of equanimity we've been talking about, that when we get something we do want, to enjoy it and not spend another moment on it, you know, to realize don't need craving to arise here, you know. So we just enjoy it in the moment and then let it go.
Be attached to the enjoyment, just
Let it
let
go.
it go and attach.
Well,
Looking
that
at
think
all the-
about it. It's gone. That moment's gone. It's in the past now. You know, not that, oh, I have to make sure I put this on my grocery list for next time. Because that supports the mind of craving. You know, it's also good to, you know, to recognize what is sufficient. To think in terms of what is sufficient. You know, and so one of the things you want to think about is what do you think isn't sufficient? You know, if you have these fixed ideas about what makes a nice evening, or what makes a nice gift, or what makes a nice dinner, or what makes it whatever, you know, and then you kind of have to recognize somehow I'm making this situation into what I think of as a source of happiness, and it can never be that. So being able to say, it's good enough. You know, this is how we end up spending too much money, how we end up chasing after things that really in the long run don't do much for us. You know, this is how we end up, you know, I had to clear out my closet because of this problem. And I'm looking at all this stuff. Now, I will admit, most of it is like bubble wrap type stuff to pack holy objects. I mean, that's almost all of it is empty things to put things in order to transport them safely. So that's good news. I have a whole bunch of boxes of empty things that you can put on, you know, and you feel really stupid when you're having to clear out your closet. You let some worker come in and tear out your wall, and you know, and if and not like heavy. Oh, that's just awesome. Anyway, it's pretty funny. And then there's all the stuff that's totally, you know, like, okay, this can go straight to, you know, the women's shelter. It's just hilarious. But so getting that mind where we enjoy something and stop there. Just, you know, you can rejoice that you're having a pleasant experience, but you can also rejoice when you have an unpleasant experience. Why can we rejoice about that?
Because it reminds us,
It reminds us of what?
it reminds us that we're stuck in samsara.
Yes, it's a, you know, oh yeah, samsara is the nature of suffering. Plus, who created that suffering?
Wow.
Yeah. So we created the cause for that suffering. So we're having the opportunity to exhaust this seed if we don't feed it to just make more. You know, we really don't want to use it as an ingredient for baking a cake. So it's just, you know, but we can kind of go, oh good, I'm exhausting some negative seed.
Don't understand how you stop enjoying something.
You don't have to stop enjoying it. What you have to do is stop grasping it. There is no problem with enjoyment. There's no problem with not liking something. Preference is not a problem. It is grasping that's the problem. Craving and grasping.
If you're grasping, you're not enjoying something.
That's right. You miss the boat. That's why it's the nature of suffering. Craving is the nature of suffering. It leads to grasping. So, and where does it come from? Pleasant. We feel something pleasant and then we grasp after it. Oh, I want more. You know, that's the habit we want to break. Yes, Elaine.
So, all right, I'm so confused. All right, we're here. We have relationships with people. You love whoever you're having relationships with, and they die.
Yep. Yep.
All right, well, I can't imagine just like, oh, well, you know, I enjoyed you while you're here.
Easy come, easy go.
Bye-bye. You know, that doesn't make sense to me, that it doesn't even seem possible.
There's no question that our attachment for our loved ones makes it much more difficult. And like, I remember early on when I met Geshe Gellick, who's a teacher in North Carolina, he said, when your teacher dies, all you can do is cry. So it's not like there's this expectation, we just get over it, but I suspect that our teachers don't necessarily cry when their teachers die, because they understand impermanence. They understand that their happiness isn't dependent on that physical presence being there. What is it dependent upon? It's an internal process, isn't it? So we have a good relationship with someone. So of course we're going to miss them when they're gone. It's the grasping part that's bad. I'll never be happy again. It's impossible. Don't want to see my children because they remind me of him. That kind of grasping. That's we're turning something that was positive in our lives into something that is really terrible.
So rejoicing the time you have with that.
Yes.
Is an antidote.
Yes, rejoicing is always an antidote to any kind of greed or jealousy or envy, like, why did my partner have to die, young, and their partner didn't, So, that those kinds of activities and we do these things, we have to train ourselves to quit doing these things. But it's like we want to just catch ourselves when we are taking something and making it something it is not. So having a loving partner is great. Let's all rejoice if that's what you got, and let's all rejoice that you had it. That is, we created the cause for that. That's a positive result of, being, of treating someone well. And so you met somebody that is that you can be harmonious with. You probably worked out it. So all that's great, so it isn't about that we enjoy things or have a good relationship or anything. It's acting as if it's going to last forever. And when it doesn't, we lose it.
You're disappointed.
Well, and we get mad or we act like, the world owes us something, and that it's not fair that I would, and that's ridiculous. And most people are, do figure that out, but we can go a step further and really understand that, first of all, according to the teachings, they haven't ceased to exist. Their mind stream hasn't ceased to exist. It's moved on, So we've lost them, But it's not, but we've had this is what's really hard to get and kind of unimaginable, is we've had this relationship with every single sentient being there is. We've had the time. So we meet them in the right conditions. We'll have a romantic relationship. We meet them in another condition. We eat them for dinner because they're a fish. We're just, we don't cease to exist. So we shouldn't treat anybody badly, or any insect or any sentient being badly, because it could be your mother. It could be your former lover. It could be your, it's just like, so this is another way to practice the habit of equanimity towards everyone. You know, this is not easy because we are in the, we have all sorts of other habits, and we have grasp, and and we're in the desire realm. So it's very hard for us to imagine that our enemies of this life were our lovers in a past life, except if you look at your own relationship history. If you've ever been divorced, you can kind of imagine that that is something that happens, so, high school dating. Oh, wasn't that fun? So, we have to recognize that samsara only offers us this impermanent, dissatisfactory kind of pleasure.
It's like a scam.
It is like a scam. and we set it up,
We set ourselves up.
we set ourselves up. I mean, we're all, and this is also sometimes hard to imagine, but we really all are like heroin addicts, that discover something that makes you feel unbelievably good. And then you got to have more. And then it doesn't have the same effect. And so you have to have more, and so everybody else who's not the heroin addict can see them and go, boy, they're stuck in a cycle of suffering. That's what samsara is for all of us. It's just a matter of degree. And so the Buddha's saying, boy, if you can get a handle on this before you're the heroin addict, you have a good chance of creating the causes and conditions for a succession of good rebirths so that you can, get out. Not just for yourself, but so then when you can try to benefit people, you'll know exactly what to do. Because, you can emanate as anything. Arya Bodhisattvas. And then Buddhas, even better. But so at first it starts with recognizing, yes, some things are nice, we enjoy them, and some things aren't. And it's no big deal.
When you do something, either good or bad, you can't necessarily bank on receiving,
Compensation.
Oh, you mean the emotional contracts we do
No,
with
I mean,
people?
in this lifetime, it could happen another lifetime.
Well, that's the other thing, is
We
karma's
never
not
know.
instant.
Right.
So that's why they say, if you want to look at how you were in your past lives, look at your conditions in this one, because they're the result of your actions of past lives. If you want to look at your future lives, look at your mind. So the more we can feel good about how we behave, body, speech, and mind during a day, and rejoice at the end of the day about that, the more we practice the behaviors that we have learned or that we know are better actions than others, more skillful actions than others, that will lead us out of samsara rather than deeper into it, the more likely it is at the time of death we'll also have good actions that day, and that will be a condition for a good seed to ripen. And it's particularly, what's so cool about it is that the habit of not overreacting to things, just being oh, this is nice, and not immediately thinking, oh, I wonder if I can take some home. Whatever. I don't know how your mind works, but practicing just being content that this was enough. This moment, this was nice. This was a nice moment. This wasn't a nice moment. I remember one monk said one time that he would meditate while he would eat, going, this food is really not very good. But he didn't, preference is fine. You can not like something, but you don't have to care whether you like it or not.
I don't know how to practice just being content.
No, you start with just not creating a story. So when Like say you go out to lunch and it's really a lovely lunch. You enjoy it, and then you don't call someone up and say, oh, you should go try this restaurant. I had this really nice lunch there. Da 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 da. Because all you're doing is feeding your desire. You're making up a story, first of all, because you have no idea how somebody else will actually react to a particular place. So, you know, but it's that you're dragging it out. You know, instead of just, oh, that was good. And then it's sufficient. You know, you've had enough. You don't have to finish the plate just because, you know, it tastes so good. You know, these are all things we can practice. You know, we don't have to do them all at once, but it's mostly just then we cut it. We don't continue feeding this idea that, oh, this was really nice, because then we're exaggerating it. You know, then we're trying to make it into a source of happiness, and it isn't that. You know, same things with bad stuff. We can just have it happen and, you know, go immediately to Shanti Dev as well. Can I do something about it? Oh, no, can't do anything about it. Well, then I won't worry, you know, and move on. So it's that kind of response as opposed to something that drags the experience out. You won't believe what happened to me today. You know, we all do this, and it's not a good idea, actually. That's the problem with it, is it feeds our habit of grasping at things and also at thinking external things determine our mood. So I had a point. If we practice this muted response to things, where we try to interrupt the habit of making a story about it, that helps us. There's a point here.
Satisfaction.
It helps us so that even if at the end of our lives, if we die because somebody decides to shoot us, you know, we see them, that we won't respond with this immediate hatred, because we've trained ourselves to not have that first, you know, that is our automatic go-to when we don't like something. You know, again, we go to that, can I do something about this? You know, and we try to enact that. If we,
Fine, if you can,
yeah,
let it go.
yep, you just kind of go, you know, oh, hope by next life I have the opportunity to help people. Of course, you're probably not going to think that, but you may just be sort of neutral, as opposed to, you know, actively, or you might go to the mind of compassion. Wow, I wonder what's going on with this person. You know, and I'm going to exhaust a really big negative karma, because we created the cause for it. You know, this is also, the more we practice this, that every time something bad happens or something we don't like happens, we go, oh, well, let's not forget. I had played a part in this happening, you know, and also that thing, but where we go, but I didn't, it wasn't in this life. Well, that's grasping at the I. And the more we can recognize we're just a series of moments, and one time we had a different name than this name, and we had a different body than this body, and we had a different, and it happens actually many times a day, you know, but the looser we are with this idea of an I that's being harmed, or an I that's being satisfied, or an I that's, you know, this, it's really just a series of moments, you know, and most of them are no big deal. What's a big deal is how we respond. That's where we have control over creating a cause for good rebirths, you know. It seems like a lot to do, doesn't it? But it's kind of simple in the sense of you don't have to think about a lot of different things. You just kind of have to go, I don't want to support the mind of craving, you know, and I don't want to support the mind of aversion. you know, or you think about how I don't want to respond with harm, you know, or you think about, oh, be kind, be kind. Oh, but it's mostly that pause. You're aware and then you pause. And that can often be enough to not start a story. Because if your mind's as distracted as mine, you've moved on already anyway. So. Because all of this is about interrupting our belief that we know reality like it is. You know, we really believe external objects are the source of our happiness, our suffering. We really believe that we have to have certain things in order to be okay, you know, blah, 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 blah. And so then we have to really think of examples that illustrate to us, that have meaning to us, you know, as individuals, you know, that maybe it's not so true, you know, whether it's, you know, you just have use your imagination to imagine children in some other environment with other conditions playing, you know, so maybe they don't have great conditions, or maybe they don't have as good a conditions as you have, you know, or they don't have, you know, but they still have enjoyment without any of the stuff we think we have to have. You know, just to help us keep interrupting the idea that, oh no, I have to have this. You know, I'm one of the Lama Yeshe, like we said in some book, that we, you know, we need 5-star hotels for retreat, us Westerners. I thought, oh, he knows me too well. So it's just, you know, it's, you know, you worry before you go someplace and go, oh, I wonder if they'll have this or that, you know, da, 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 da. Because we completely don't understand that if we're working on our mind, that's going to be enough. It helps to have food. Yes, absolutely. And Rinpoche was a big one for saints. It really helps to have good food. But of course, everybody always cooks special for Rinpoche. Rinpoche never ate what the rest of us were eating. He was eating whatever was cooked for so I always felt like that's not really a good example. So, but you know, having seen him eat, I know it absolutely, you know, was no big deal. And so, I feel just sometimes I cannot believe how fortunate I've been. You know, like I've seen His Holiness up close, you know, and had, you know, I've had him talk straight down, like for 4 feet away, giving the nuns at Chenrezig Institute, you know, advice. You know, I've seen Lama Zopa Rinpoche in a retreat, you know, where he's, you know, kind of trying to take care of us at the retreat and stuff. You know, it's just like, Thich Nhat Hanh, I have spent 6 months with Thich Nhat Hanh. I mean, it's like, I've been so fortunate watching people who have much more control over their minds to see, they're not unhappy, you know, they want to help us, you know, they're trying very hard to help us understand. And they really model behavior that is, you know, seems inconceivable, but it's not magic. It's just practice, just habits. So unbelievably lucky. And they're willing to do things because their teachers say, yeah, well, I think you should do that. You know, I remember, you know, all the monks that I know of that were, all the geshes that were asked to come teach at a Western center, always go, always went to His Holiness saying, should I really do this? Because I'm not sure any of them wanted to. So, and His Holiness would always say, yes, I think that's a good idea. And so they come and, and Geshe Taji Sarian in Australia, he didn't have a translator when he first arrived. So he said the only language he knew was the cows. He could speak to the cows, because he couldn't speak to anybody else. But he could say moo. So, anyway. But they're still willing to, okay, that's the way it is. Didn't like a single thing he ate until they got a translator. Because they had no idea what his, preferences were or anything. He had to watch, Australian television to learn some English. It's all pretty hilarious. So, and who did he do that for? For this, kind of pitiful Western students. So, he didn't call us pitiful Western students, however. But he would often say, like, if he was in charge of the nuns community, because it was a nuns community on the property, we'd all leave. They're much stricter in the Tibetan monasteries and nunneries. It's a lot harder. Anyway. So we really do need to think about these things when not a lot's going on, so that we can remember it when a lot's going on, So we really think, we wake up in the morning and think about how, okay, how can I take what I learned and put it into practice today? What are the ways I can do that? How can I help myself remember, to just pause? Or how can I help myself remember not to grasp after this or that, and have a plan, in your mind, just, how to do that. Have Post-it notes if you can't remember, and I mean, it's like things like, people put, happy faces on their mirror or something if they tend to go around grumpy. We want to do that for the Dharma. We want to think about it, and we want to think about, okay, I'm not here on this, in samsara, we think we're here for our own sake. We're here in spite of our own sake. It's like we're here because we keep making the mistake that thinking catering to this is the secret to happiness. And so we got that wrong. So we want to wake up in the morning and think, okay, really, if I really want to have happiness, I want to think about others today. So in all interactions, I want to put others first. Not to be walked over, not anything, but just to have the first thought, oh, how can I be of help? Because that will take a lot of that, like harsh speech kind of habit or irritation or whatever out, because you're not thinking in terms of how they're in your way.
How does that intersect with self-care?
Because self-care is you're taking care of yourself in order to be able to be this way towards others. So like you go to sleep at a reasonable hour, so you get enough sleep. Or if you wake up and you realize you didn't sleep well, that, and you go, I have to go slow today and be gentle, because I'm going to be quick to being impatient or whatever, because I'm sleepy. So I need to kind of guard myself.
Well, we can't be all things to all people all the time.
I didn't think I had to please everybody.
I know that, but I'm just trying to get at, we set up some boundaries, some limits on ourselves.
That's self-care, but that's different. None of this says I have to give my life to you. Buddhists will do that. but because they have all the skills. We want to head there. We're nowhere close to there, you know? But as soon as we start thinking, I don't mean this in, I mean, obviously there are times when we pause, we're going, I need to set better boundaries, is what comes up. And so we need to know that so we can, you know, it's like I didn't get enough sleep to be able to handle this well. You know, it's like I'm not taking care of myself to have the energy to deal with this, you know, all that kind of stuff. None of that's wrong. But why do you want to do all those things? So I don't get mad at someone else. It's not because I want to keep myself in this nice little box. No, it's because you want to have a harmonious relationship with others.
Mhm.
And so you need to take care of yourself in order to do that. So it's a reframing, you know, it's a different perspective. It's not about, oh, how can I protect myself? It's really, how can I protect you from me? I haven't been taking care of myself, you know? So it's just this, it's really coming at it from another angle. And it really is important to recognize that when you're not a Buddha, you have limits. And you need to be able to recognize those and behave accordingly, you know. And then we have to stretch ourselves sometimes, you know, and just realize, maybe I'm a little too quick with the no, you know. And other times we have to go, I'm a little too quick with the yes. You know, it depends on your style.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's just, I was big on no. I didn't have a problem with no. I had to work on yes, you know, and others have to work on stopping the yes before they thought about it. And it's amazing how much better care you can take of others when you take care of yourself. And not in a selfish way. If you take care of yourself in a selfish way, you don't get any better at it, you know, because you're practicing a selfish mind. You know? Self-care is not selfish. It's necessary. You know? And it will vary. You know, like we all know that when we were young, we could do a lot more on a lot less sleep, you know, all sorts of stuff. Well, we can't do that now.
That's for sure.
Yeah. And we don't necessarily like that fact,
No.
but we don't need to take it out on other people. So, you know. We don't, and there's, you know, we have to work on, am I getting mad because I didn't set a boundary that I needed to do? You know, am I blaming this other person for me not taking good care
No,
of?
I mean, you don't want to resent.
Right. Because that's turning a virtue into a negativity.
Yeah.
So you definitely, and we learn, you know, it's trial and error, you know, you think, oh, I can do this. I did it last week, you know, but you're tired this week, or you're sick this week, or you have other demands on you this week, you know, so it's a trial and error, you know, it's constantly, have to tweak it, you know, not getting, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I know that there's a tendency towards thinking, oh, I just have to finally figure out the perfect method. Now, the perfect method is flexibility. It's recognizing everything changes all the time. So we can't plan in advance. And the thing you most can't plan are people, not ourselves and not others. You wake up some days and you're a mess. You wake up some days and you just, what did I do? Take a multivitamin last night? You know, so you have to, you know, be aware. And then the more you can practice a healthy sense of self so that you're not feeling guilty about having limitations, you're not feeling, you know, not beating yourself up when you say no, you're not overdoing, you know, you're not trying to pretend you're someone else when you say yes, you know. And then some days we have to just face the fact that we need to get over ourselves, you know.
What do you mean?
Well, some days we can't be bothered. You know, our we've got an afflicted mind and we just think everybody's in our way. So we just, don't want to do anything for anybody. Oh, they're just, I'm sorry, I have to set boundaries today. And you probably do. But we've gotten it in our head somehow that, what about me? And we're covering it up with some other language that makes it seem like, others are taking advantage. And when they're not really. And again, it's that taking responsibility of like, if you want to say no, that's your responsibility. It's not for them to figure out, so, because we do that, we'll think, God, you've asked me for 100 things this week. Haven't you figured out that I might be full? We won't say that out loud because we're still expecting them to guess. So, you can see I was not a very nice person, but sorry about that. Actually, I was a great friend. I was just a terrible partner. I was really one of the worst. So yes.
The person you were a bad partner brought that on themselves.
Well, they created the cause for that too, but I was participated. So, around and around we go. Oh, yeah, we can never say that, oh, my bad behavior is okay because they created the cause for it. No, they didn't create the cause for your bad behavior. Yeah. They created the cause to suffer in this situation from your bad behavior. Yeah. Because we also have to take responsibility for the fact that someone else is not making us suffer. We are. And sometimes it's because we don't speak up. Sometimes it's because we spoke up, in a way that wasn't helpful, whatever. But it all depends. And so we have to just get really good at being aware of what's going on with us and then pausing before we make a choice about the next moment, And we can always change our minds. Like it really is possible to call someone up and say, oh, I didn't think I'd be able to help you today. Do you still need help because, my schedule changed and I'm able to help? Or I know I offered to help, I really want to be there for you, but actually I can't today. I don't feel well. It can be any reason. You don't have to give a reason. If you're a Southern girl, you think you have to always give a reason, but you don't have to give a reason. But,
Yeah, we don't really have to make excuses to someone.
No, we can take responsibility for ourselves. But that comes from a confidence that it's okay to take care of yourself. And it's also okay to not get it right, to make a mistake and, and change plans and do this or that, or, well, we don't want to like Margaret said, we don't want to develop resentment.
Right.
So it's like for me, one of the easiest examples of a way to see this is when you offer someone a ride home. And then they start talking to this person or that person, and then they keep going, and 20 minutes have passed and you're starting to feel like, okay, yeah, I didn't mean I offer your home whenever you feel like it. The resentment's creeping in. It's really okay to go up to them and say, I have other things I need to do. Do you still want to ride? Because I need to leave now. That doesn't make you not generous. It just means you're limiting your generosity to the ride, not to your time, because you don't have the time. And the better you are at this, the better you're able to say up front, oh yeah, I'm happy to give you a ride. I just have to let you know I need to be somewhere. So we're going to have to leave right when class ends or, after the meal or whatever. I can't hang out today. So, and a lot of that comes from a healthy sense of self. Being able to be, it's okay that this is what you have to do. I find this can be harder for women often because we're expected to be the one to make and, in my age group, to make allowances or something. I don't know what the word is, but so practicing not going from enjoyment to craving. One of the ways you can do this is think about things you really like, and you just think about, okay, what is the story I've made up about this? Like if you think, oh, if I had to give this up, it would just be terrible. I always thought, oh, please, may I not be a diabetic because I'd have to give up sugar. And that would be a drag because there's so many foods I like that are sweet. So I can see the suffering way in advance. I'm already worried. So,
It's not as bad as
it's just totally ridiculous. But this is kind of what we do, so it's good to kind of identify, oh, I really hold tight to this, that I have to have this, or my life's so much better with it, or what how can I practice a different kind of mind around this thing, and sometimes it's about practicing not having it, discovering there is happiness after M&Ms are gone in your life. So, I'm sure that people who are parents, along the way, learned when they were kind of grasping after their children and had to step back and let go. So it's the same idea, it's just now with yourself and what you like and what you want. And, you're supposed to be able to just do that, right? Because you're an adult, you get to choose. You can't choose for your kid, but you can, you're especially your adult kid, but, but it's really about recognizing that mind that really exaggerates the positive or the negative qualities of something, because that's what sets off craving and aversion. And you'll see this in, like one way to practice it is you don't change things. So you get hot, you don't turn the AC down. You get cold, you don't change, you just don't change things. You get a headache, you wait before you take medicine for it, within reason. If you're someone prone to migraines and you're supposed to take the medicine as soon as you have the first clue you might be getting them, you take it because that's, that's the solution to that. But with ordinary discomfort, you decide, I can sit this out. It'll help me practice being okay, even though this is not something I choose to experience. We all do it when we have to go to the dentist or go to the, when you have to have a stress test, so that's fun, Let's see if you can have a heart attack in front of me, that's what,
at least he's got the machine.
yeah, right. Yeah, theoretically, they can help you, but
The full line.
yeah. I had a friend who had a heart attack on her way home from the stress test. So not to discourage you, but but the point is, we can't, there's certain things we just do. We've been trained to do. You go get your shots, you go do this, you do these things that don't feel good, but you've been taught, I'm sorry, you grow, you have to go to the doctor, you have to get your vaccinations before school starts, blah, 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 blah. We're, trained from an early age that you put up with it. Hopefully we're trained in it, this is about recognizing that how I train my mind has the potential to reduce my suffering, and not in some temporary way like avoiding a shot might do, but in some lasting way, because I'll develop a habit that just doesn't create suffering for myself through craving and aversion. Because when you think about how karma works, every time we crave after something, it's creating the cause to do it again,
Yeah.
and to do it again, and to do it again. And then we get in the habit of craving, and then we become an addict. I mean, this is just how the cycle goes.
It's very freeing when you can put boundaries on yourself.
Yeah.
You know, where you used to go into a store and I'll take this. No, you really don't need that.
Yeah.
You know,
And you see the benefit
yeah,
of not giving in to your craving
that's right.
or your aversion. That's something we have to think about so that we really understand true sufferings. You know?
And we have to remember not to go to the grocery store when we're hungry.
Yes. Little things like that can really help,
Yeah.
you know? So,
That's when I get really.
yeah, I mean, that's it.
appreciate.
Yeah, that's an easy thing to do. Easy mistake to make. So it's just this, you know, so it's about understanding that every time we reach for some external object in order to feel better, we are proving our ignorance. You know,
Mhm.
we're really, and so anything we can do to interrupt that habit, to remind ourselves, oh, how I feel has nothing to do. It doesn't matter if you have that, you know, it's that that's not where my happiness is or my contentment is or my, you
It's
know,
very- I mean, it's very cliche, but, you know, 1,000 times I've heard it, happiness is an inside job.
yeah, it's an inside job. And lasting happiness comes from getting rid of these habits of chasing habits of mind that do nothing but increase the odds of our suffering. You know, making a big deal about unpleasant experiences, making a big deal out of pleasant experiences, we are setting ourselves up for the suffering of change. And we can really drive ourselves mad with it. You know, where we're constantly chasing after. Thoughts, questions, aversions?
I find that meditation is helpful in helping me learn that I don't need the external.
What do you think I mean when I say sit and think about these things? That's what I'm saying is meditate.
You're on the mat and nothing else is giving. I'm feeling calm joy, meditating.
Yeah, and what you have to do is remember that that
Okay.
doesn't change your mind.
Right.
If you're not doing analytical meditation and really working out, what you're enjoying is the bliss of quieting the mind. So it's a really good tool, but we want to remember that we can get attached to the bliss of sitting quietly.
And that's, but it is a good reminder that I can be happy internally.
Right.
Without the
Right.
external.
And it's a good thing to remind ourselves of out in the world, you know, like I think, you know, well, we're always alone in here. We can always choose to quiet our mind in here, you know, but we have to practice in order to be able to do it in the midst of all the hustle and bustle, you know. So meditation is obviously an excellent tool. That's why, you know, it's in all the teachings that you need to meditate, you know, so, but it doesn't have to look like, you know, I love Lama. I've seen pictures of Lama Yeshe meditating. He's got perfect posture. I mean, he's straight up and he looks like he could be sitting on a rock, you know, and he's just perfect, you know, da, 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 da. It doesn't have to be like that in order to have some benefit from it. So it's great if you can do that. You start young, you know, and you're already got some mind training. So, but it really is about, you know, you take notes. So this is how you begin, you know, you look and then you look at your notes. Okay, I'm going to reflect on that today. You know, I'm going to look at that for a while. I'm going to think about that for a while, you know, and I'm going to bring up examples from my own life to, you know, make sure I'm understanding it, and also to just consider the possibility of responding differently. You know, because first we have to kind of like even entertain the possibility of not responding the same way we always have. Because with certain situations, it can seem unbelievable. But then when you think back to your youth, you know, and you think of things that you did in your youth, or things that you thought were so important, you you kind of laugh. That's something to remember. You know, it really is true that how we react to things is very dependent on all sorts of things, you know? And so a teenager has no clue because they're under the power of hormones. So they have habit hormones. Oh, I'm so glad I'm not there anymore. Oh, so anyway, okay. So I teach until the 20th, I think it's the 20th of April. So whatever 3 days before that is, will be the last Thursday night.
So we have two more.
I don't know.
Yeah.
2 more,
There are
Yeah,
two more.
2 more. Bring your
Yeah.
questions. About anything, I'm open.
When are you leaving?
I'm not actually leaving anyway. Venerable Amy comes on the 23rd, I think.
Oh, okay.
And then I have this window thing, and then I have to clean up my condo after the window thing. I don't know when I'm actually leaving. I'll go visit Joan, but I'll go up to North Carolina at the end of May. So, but I'm not on the books for May. So, and I won't be back until who knows. I think Keldon is teaching June, July, and August.
Who is?
Keldon, Venerable Keldon.
Oh, right,
So he's from Brazil.
yeah.
Oh,
Will
so
he be here or?
he'll be here. He'll be
Oh.
staying in my place. That's why I kind of have to clean it up.
I see. Oh, I see.
I'm staying in a nun's place up in
Yeah.
North Carolina.
And she's cleaning it up for you.
I hope so. So, you know. So I'm gonna have to I'm going to tell my condo association going, well, you're not supposed to, you know, have a guest that's not family. I'm going to go, well, this is my version of family,
Yeah,
you know,
Are they gonna know the difference?
because he's not 55. And he looks not 55, you know. Fingers crossed. There are usually only about 12 people in the building in the summer out of 64 units. So I'm hoping nobody complains.
As long as he doesn't party.
He doesn't party. They're great. We're great neighbors, monks and nuns.
Quiet.
We're very quiet unless we have our bell. So, you know, it's a good deal. So, yes, it's true. It's true, true, true. Anyway,
Great class.
yes.
lots to think about. I hope it's helpful. All right. So now we want to rejoice that we made some effort to think about things from the Buddhist perspective. Just about, you know, entertaining, you know, let's see, maybe this could work kind of thing. Investigating the teachings. And remembering that we're under the influence of ignorance all the time. And that makes it not reliable, you know? So, you know, they have to keep working. And it means it makes sense that we're not reliable. You know, it's not a big deal. Okay. So we want to dedicate our merits to the benefit of others, in particular, all those who've asked us to pray for them. For all our community at Thubten Kunga Ling, all our community, the bigger community of FPMT, all our loved ones, all our friends. What an opportunity Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are, I too dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones thus gone of the 3 times, so I might perform good works. I dedicate whatever virtues I have ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular, the essential teachings of perfect pure Lozan Drapa to shine forever. The long life of His Holiness. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. And for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Lozan father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands. Please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now, holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice. You wore the armor of patience that's never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and for mother living beings. What a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the 3 jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. So a week from Saturday is the 13th of April. Will be from 9:30 to 12. I think something like that. We'll be here at the center to recite prayers for the for Rinpoche. This is the anniversary of showing the aspect of passing away. And so we're going to say prayers that help to clarify and to make it so that we can unmistakably recognize the correct reincarnation of Lama Zopa Rinpoche and, you know, all that other good stuff. So, and I think that's all I got. So, Venerable Amy will be here soon, and there'll be a nice change, and Venerable Keldon will be a complete different change. So, you know, yay. So, anyway, thank you guys for showing up.
Tuesday, April 16th, medicine.
Is that on our calendar?
Must be, because I'm putting mine.
Okay, I think there's a Medicine Buddha Puja sometime. So,
Tuesday, April 16th from 7 to 8:30, medicine Buddha Puja.
Oh, okay, then we won't be doing the chair yoga, right? Okay.
but that's why I don't know
We've been
that that's
singing for a
true.
week.
So, but the chair yoga is 6 to 7.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, guys. Thanks, you guys at home. Have a good night.
Thank you so much. Bye,
Sleep well.
everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Venerable. Amazing.
Thank you.